Okay. All right, we're on. So this week we are in chapter 32. So as you look at your text, you'll see that the basic, easy way to identify the infinitive is it has the to in front of it. To study, to see, to look. So the infinitive is a non-finite verb, and a lot of times it can have an article with it, a definite article with it. It can take phrases, and sometimes it'll have a noun in the accusative that looks like it's the subject of the infinitive, but actually take a nominative as a subject. It doesn't actually form like a normal verbal set. So you can see in 32.4 on page 299 that the forms of the infinitive are actually really easy. Just commit this chart to memory. Ain, if you go from top to bottom, ain, esthai, so the middle and the passive look the same in the present. Sai, sasthai, thanai, so the middle and passive are different in the aorist, which makes sense, right? Because we learned that there's different endings that way. We lost Chad, didn't we? Second aorist is ain, esthai, anai. You'll notice that the present active and the second aorist active have the same ending. And the perfect is kanai, sthai. So it looks like, it's pretty easy to see that sthai ending is pretty universally middle passive. And the two that have a different middle and passive actually change up their endings to have sthai and then nai. And the present is really easy to remember. So really the forms of the verb are not difficult at all.
Are we going to start for the quiz?
Say what?
We need to know this for the quiz.
Yes, I do recommend that you know how to fill in that chart for the quiz. And say specifically know how to do not just the endings, but more specifically think about learning 32.5 on page 300.
Okay, got it.
Got it? That way you can know how it connects to a verb.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, great section. Very easy. You can see that the present continuous infinitive is built on the present tense stem. The aorist active and middle are undefined, and it's built on the aorist active middle tense stem without an augment. Remember, why doesn't it have an augment?
Because it's not in the indicative.
It's not in the indicative, and it does not carry the weight of time. So,
okay.
Remember in the indicative, the augment represents past, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, here it doesn't have that weight, so it's not indicating past.
Okay.
So there's no augment in the tense stem. The perfect active infinitive is formed on the perfect active tense stem. The perfect middle passive is formed on the perfect middle passive tense stem. The present infinitive of a me is anai, to be. It has no aorist form. So anai is really going to be, the only infinitive for the to be verb, for the Amy verb that you're going to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you some hints here, which I think are important for you guys to think about. It'll help you remember the paradigm. But in 32.6 it says all infinitives except the present and second aorist active end with I. So alpha iota. So you can just that's a little check there for you. I'm sorry, I have to hold my book up because if not, weird things are going to start dripping out of my face. The aorist infinitive built on the second aorist stem looks just like the present except for the stem change and the accent. Okay? So you can see Luane, Lusai, Labain. So you're gonna notice the second aorist How are you going to tell? Because the second aorist and the second aorist active and the present aorist or the present active have the exact same ending. How are you going to tell them apart?
By the aorist stem.
By the stem. You're exactly right. Just like you would in the indicative. Is that the second aorist? Remember, the stem gets changed. So, Lambano loses the mu, and yeah. So, anyway. So, do not forget about the irregular contractions that occur with contract verbs as the present active indicative. This is a good section to look at.
Yeah, this stumped me in a translation.
Yeah.
That I want to look at.
Right. Just know that if you see a verb, here's a little trick, okay? I mean, it's not a ton of forms, but you'll see it. If you see a verb that ends with a nu, you can pretty much guess that it's an infinitive.
Okay.
Given that's just the present active and the second aorist active, but you see a lot of them.
That's helpful.
Just know that that's an infinitive. But yeah. So anyway, you can see how to define them in 32.7. Nothing different. You still use the same present, aorist, and perfect kind of ideas. Aspect. This is what we talked about a little bit. As in the case of participles and subjunctive, since it's not in the indicative, the infinitive has no time significance. So there's no augment there or anything. The only difference between the infinitive is built on the different stems in their aspect. So the infinitive built on the present stem has a continuous action. The infinitive built on the aorist stem has an undefined action, and on the perfect stem has a completed action with ongoing implications. This is not new stuff. You know all that, right? So anyway, you just need to know these nuances. Look down here at 32.9 on page 301. This concept of the subject is really important, okay? Because an infinitive is not finite. Do you guys understand finite? You can see little footnote number 2 if you want to get more. Yeah, if you want to get more of that. So the infinitive is not a finite verbal form. It technically cannot have a subject. So you're not going to see the typical verb idea with an infinitive. An infinitive is not going to show up with a subject in front of it.
Okay.
Okay? A lot of times what you'll see an infinitive in the forms that we're going to talk about later, or a lot of times an infinitive is going to support an indicative verb.
It says, however, there's often a noun in the accusative.
Yeah, that will come across often now in the accusative that acts as if it were the subject of the infinitive. A parallel to this is the genitive absolute, where the noun pronoun is in the genitive, acts as if it were the subject of the participle. So you can see uk, ethane, lalain, ta, damanai. So it says he would not permit the demons to speak. So the demons right there in the accusative are acting as the subject of lalain. However, you can see how the infinitive is less modifying, less dealing with the demons as it is the action of permit, right?
What are you trying to say?
Okay, my point is that the infinitive functions more in a support role in a sentence for another finite verb.
Okay.
So you see here, it actually, the sentence could be said, he would not permit, because the main verb is permit there.
Right, I see what you're saying.
Okay. He would not permit to speak the demons. You could say that.
Yeah.
Okay. To speak is actually supporting permit.
Right.
More than it is the demons. However, for the English, sometimes taking that accusative that's there and making it look like the subject of the infinitive is the appropriate way to translate. So he would not permit the demons to speak.
The main emphasis is that he has the authority to permit and not to permit.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So the infinitive has a direct object. It can sometimes become interesting to determine which word in the accusative is the subject and which is the direct object. So sometimes you'll find the infinitive with two accusatives, and it becomes a translation issue of which of those accusative is acting like the subject and which one is actually, because the infinitive can take a direct object.
Okay.
So sometimes that can get hairy. Usually context will make it clear. As a general rule, the first accusative will be the subject and the second the direct object. So anyway, that's the infinitive actually in a nutshell as far as identification, how it functions, what it looks like. There's really not much to the topic as a whole, right?
Yeah, just when you get into translation.
That's going to be the kicker. And that's where we want to go. So I don't want to linger around too long because we need to get there and deal with all that stuff. Some odds and ends, negation. You remember, and this is important, you may want to highlight 32.10.
Okay.
And you may want to have 32.10 known by Wednesday. But it says, because the infinitive is not in the indicative mood, it is negated by may and not oo, right?
Yeah. Can you remind me of the rule for the subjunctive again with negation?
Okay, same thing. Because it's not the indicative, it's generally may that negates the subjunctive. However, with the subjunctive, you can get an ume, which is like a double negation.
Okay.
Okay, and it's like a no, not never. And I told you Paul uses a lot of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't. Sorry, I'm a little off track, but I remember David's announcement correction about Eon versus Hina.
Okay.
Do you remember that email that he sent out?
I think so. What did he say?
I can't remember. I was hoping that would jog your memory. So never mind.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me look at the email really quick. I've got it here. He sent out. Did a fantastic job on the quiz. There was one problem that came up a few times. Some of you answered the first question in the grammar translation section by noting that may is a particle that indicates the presence of a subjunctive nearby. Okay? That actually is not true. That particle would be aeon.
Okay. I thought it was Aeon and Hina.
Huh?
I thought it was Aeon.
Yeah, aeon and hina. Those are two words that when you see when you're translating Greek, you need to go, hey, there really could be a subjunctive, because a lot of times those get tied with a subjunctive.
Okay.
Okay. But may is not the case. May does negate the subjunctive, but not just the subjunctive. It negates all of the non-indicative verbs.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
So that's what David was getting at, is he was saying that may does not indicate the presence of a subjunctive, because it says the answer is actually aeon, as you now know. The particle may appears with non-indicative verbs. Oo occurs with indicative verbs. So it will appear with subjunctive verbs. The reason doesn't in order that. So hina is going to be everywhere. Most of the time, though, when you see an aeon in the text, there's going to be a subjunctive following it.
Okay.
Okay. So let's look at this thing. It's on like Donkey Kong. Translations. Substantive, because the infinitive is a verbal noun. Yay! What was the participle?
What?
What was the participle? It's a verbal what?
You're making me a verbal adjective.
Verbal adjective, right. So the infinitive is a
verbal noun.
Verbal noun, right. So we're there. This is the thing. Since it is a verbal noun, that means that it follows some of the noun stuff.
Okay.
So it can perform any function that a substantive can. When used as a substantive, it will usually, but not always, be preceded by the definite article. So kind of like the participle, the definite article plays this little game where it tells you, hey, this is how it's functioning. It's an identifying feature. This is called an articular infinitive. Translate this construction using to in the verb. This is a common construction, and yet as translated can be quite idiomatic. So feel free not to go word for word. So if you look at some of the examples, it says, for to me, or like the Mark example, to love one's neighbor as oneself is the way. So when it's functioning with that article, you can pretty much just do your best, pretty much try to translate that to and then the verb. So there's a complementary infinitive. This is the infinitive I was telling you about. The complementary infinitive is the one that's working with another verb in the sentence. So they began to speak in other tongues. Now, began is actually the main verb.
Okay.
About they began to do. So this is a complementary infinitive when it's supporting another noun. So some words are going to require an infinitive, like day here. It is necessary, which makes sense, right? If you're to use it is necessary in a sentence, how would you use it? Form any sentence. It is necessary.
Like, it is necessary to do.
Okay, there you go. You just said to do. It is necessary to brush your teeth in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It is necessary to make dinner for your kids, unfortunately. It is necessary to other things, okay? The it is necessary phrase actually demands an infinitive. You can't actually form it with any other form.
Right.
Okay? So you're going to get some words like that. Day, there's going to be exestin, mellow, I'm about to. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm beginning.
Yeah, I am able. I am able is another verb that demands an infinitive behind it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so complementary infinitives are preceded by a verb that demands an infinitive.
Well, yeah, not always. I mean, some verbs are going to require an infinitive. Some verbs, the infinitive will just complement them, and it's fine. But yeah, a complementary infinitive is one that supports another verb in the sentence or another phrase. Okay? Because day is not a verb.
Right, right.
All right? So mallows or mellow, actually, that is a verb. So anyway, yeah. Yeah, so at the very bottom it says complementary infinitive can be used with other verbs but less frequently. So articular infinitive and preposition. When the articular infinitive is preceded by a preposition, there are specific rules for translation. Now this is the fun section, guys, because the construction is common. The preposition, and this highlight or underline this, the preposition will always precede the infinitive. In the case of the definite article is determined by the preposition. So you will find that the infinitive follows the case of the preposition, just like a noun does.
Okay, hold on. Let me wrap my mind around that. The preposition will always...
Yeah, you remember like a paw?
Yeah, the preposition will always precede the infinitive. The case of the definite article is determined by the preposition. So it would be, okay, an articular infinitive and a preposition. Okay.
You with it? This is perhaps the most difficult use of the infinitive. It certainly is the most idiomatic.
What does idiomatic mean?
It means it's like it creates a phrase that you can't take word for word.
You just have to memorize the phrase, basically.
Well, you just kind of know what he's talking about. If you think we're very idiomatic also. The idiomatic means it may not literally mean what it's trying to say.
Right.
Or what it says on the sheet, you know? So, yeah.
Is this the most use of it?
What?
In the-
Yes.
in
Yeah,
the
you're going to
articulate
find that this is...
infinitive?
Well, the complementary, I think you find a ton.
Okay.
But this you're going to find a lot of it.
Okay.
So there's 6 common uses of this. All
Okay.
right? The first one is reason or purpose. Okay, so hold on. We have 4 main uses of the infinitive. First one was substantive. Second one was complementary. Third one is articular infinitive and preposition. And you're going to see it with these, and you just have to know these things.
Right.
So these prepositions indicate reason or purpose most of the time. So dia, according to, or meaning because, actually, not according to, but dia, accusative meaning because, indicates reason. So dia tu table pain auton, because he sees. You wouldn't say because to seeing him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Because he sees. You see the next one. Jesus will rejoice because he sees that we love him.
So the auton is, even though it's in the accusative, it's serving as the subject of the infinitive.
Auton?
Yeah, like he sees.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, keep in mind, it kind of has to. In this formation, it has to, right?
Like you have to have auton there. You couldn't have to blepain without it.
You know what I mean? It's not functioning complementary. So, in a sense, this is another section of substantive. It's functioning sort of as a substantive, and it's taking a subject in the accusative. Did I confuse you?
Well, you kind of went away for a second.
Okay.
So, I guess I'm trying to understand the purpose of auton being there.
Auton has to be there. Because if it's not there, what do you have?
Exactly, because you don't have anything as a subject of that infinitive.
The infinitive does not have person. So there's no subject built into that verb.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So ice would mean in order that. Kind of interesting, right? Because what is that usually?
It means into.
Yeah, into. And hina usually would be so that, or in order that, right? Is that hina?
Oh, yeah.
So it's just interesting that ice is going to take its infinitive and the accusative, and when that's together, it means in order that. Ice tabla pain auton, in order that he sees.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like, you know the next example?
Which one?
I sit in church.
Right.
In order that I might hear.
Yeah.
I saw the may, and I was like, oh, that's me.
Right.
But because it takes it in the accusative.
Right. You're gonna have to do some fancy work in English to make it right.
Yeah, this is when Greek gets. You're right. This is when Greek gets.
Yeah, this is where it gets fun because, like I said, that scale gets tipped, right?
Yeah.
In the indicative, everything was straightforward. It is translated this way.
Yeah.
But the forms were harder to memorize. You had the master verb chart. It was crazy, right?
Right.
But now that we're outside of the indicative, we find the forms are not very hard.
Yeah.
But we find that now there's more of a variety of translation, and so the scales tip the other way, and now we're finding that these verbs kind of have a plethora of meaning.
Yeah.
Whereas in the indicative, it was fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
So these are the days you long for the indicative back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but nonetheless, you got to walk through it because, you know, it is what it is. Ice is in order that. Pros is going to mean in order that also. So in order that he sees, sort of the same idea. You also can get temporal. There's a temporal aspect of the, or there can be, to help present a temporal, because remember, the infinitive does not actually carry time with it. So the temporal would be added by the prepositions. Did I lose you?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, I was like leaving.
That's awesome. So pra in the genitive, it means before, which makes sense, right?
Right.
Because proto would mean before, but yeah, so before he sees. And in the dative, meaning when or while. That's going to give you that temporal meaning, when he sees. Meta is going to be after, which makes sense, because meta itself can mean after.
Mm-hmm.
So after he sees. And then down the bottom here, he says there's two tricks that will help you translate the articular infinitive. The first is to remember the key words associated with each preposition when used with the articular infinitive. The second is to use the phrase the act of. For example, the act of seeing with reference to him. Sometimes it's necessary to translate in this stilted manner to see what it means, then put it into proper English. Did that make sense?
Well, you broke up.
Man,
So
what's
Yeah.
going on with this?
I don't know. You're really fuzzy too.
Really? I'm
Yeah,
sorry, guys. I hope it's better on the recording.
it's doable.
Yeah.
The second, okay, so hold on. The second is to use the phrase the act of. For example, the keyword associated with dia is because. What does dia do? What does dia ta blepe auton mean? Because of the act of seeing with reference to him.
It's a little convoluted.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, but what Mounts is trying to do is to break down the idiomatic nature of the phrase.
Yeah, he's
trying
trying
to say,
yeah.
yeah, he's trying to say this is actually what's trying to be said in the Greek. So it'd be because of the act of seeing with reference to him. So
Is
if
he
you
saying that
take
to use?
say what?
Is he saying to use the active in all?
He's saying you can. When you get to a preposition and things like that, and you remember the word, you can use this setup to try and understand exactly what the phrase is saying, and then you can put it in English. I did not actually find this very helpful for me.
Okay, gotcha.
I found that it confused me a little bit more. It's just better for me to memorize the prepositions and just know what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay, the fourth. Now, this comes down to the fourth way of translation. We had the first one, if you remember, was substantive, where it can be anyway, it can stand on its own. The complementary infinitive, where it's working with another verb. The articular infinitive and preposition, which are these examples, and now we're on the fourth one, purpose. Another function of the infinitive is to express purpose in order that. Purpose can be expressed using the articular infinitive preceded by ice or pros, which we saw above. But also, the infinitive doesn't necessarily need those things. The articular infinitive with the article in the genitive, no preposition, can also express purpose. So, if the article just shows up with no preposition, now keep in mind, when you see an infinitive, an articular infinitive with no preposition, generally what cases it's going to be in?
In the genitive?
No, you're going to find that when you see an infinitive, it typically is going to be a nominative, and it'll look like a neuter nominative article. Does that make sense?
Wait, where are you seeing that?
Okay, well, if you go back to page 299,
Okay.
32.2, the third square.
It's always.
So the article
Yeah.
that when it's just an articular, when it just is an article with an infinitive, it's always going to be in the neuter singular, right?
Well, it's saying the article is always neuter singular, and its case is determined by the function of the infinitive.
Right.
So, for example, if the infinitive is the
Right. It could be
subject,
nominative. It could be accusative.
the
It could be
article,
dative, and it can be dative.
yeah. So it can be any of it depending on the function of the sentence.
Right.
So
But it's going to show up in the neuter form, is what I'm getting at.
okay.
And so in the purpose, what it's telling you is that when it shows up in the genitive form of that generally, genitive form with no preposition before it, demanding genitive, it's typically coming across as purpose.
Okay. So the articulate. Okay. The purpose. An articulate infinitive with the article in the genitive, no preposition, can also express purpose. Herod is searching for the child to.
To destroy him. It looks like a normal infinitive, but
Yeah.
it's actually giving you the purpose of Herod searching.
Okay. All right.
Okay? The infinitive all by itself, without a preposition or an article, can express purpose.
Okay. Then I think I came to abolish the law. Yeah.
Why did he come? The purpose of abolition, not abolishing. But okay, so it can also in 3217 indicate result, and you'll see that most of the time it's hoste that's followed by an infinitive, and that is going to identify result.
Okay. They filled both boats so full that they began to sink. Okay. Yes.
Okay, it's tough because in this one, the reason that this one is a little bit of a pain in the rear is because you actually have to provide a finite verb that makes sense.
A fine. How so?
Well, that word began in that sentence is not in the Greek.
Oh, they filled both
That's the
boats
finite verb.
that they started to sink. Yeah.
Right. So you have to provide the finite action in this result area,
When you say finite, you mean like
like a regular verb, like an indicative verb.
interesting.
Yeah. Because you can't. I mean, you need something that's going to help you with the subject that has to be in that phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So they filled both boats so full that they began to sink.
Yeah.
Okay, that can become very difficult because you've got to do a lot of extra work around that one.
Right. Right.
So you're just going to use context to determine which finite verb to.
You're exactly right. Context, 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 always. This is where Greek becomes less of a science and becomes more of an art.
Yeah.
And so you're going to find that a lot of your top dogs are going to argue about these type of things. It's not going to be the necessarily the finite verbs they're arguing over. It's going to be how to translate the other stuff.
Yeah.
But really, that's it, guys.
Sweet.
Are you responsible for any of the advanced information?
No.
Really? Okay. Well, then let's not deal with it.
That's
Let me give you really quick some heads up. Okay, we've got 8 vocab words.
8
You've got
Okay.
you've got a grammar section. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just repeating what you said.
Okay. 8 vocab words. A grammar section that consists of 4 questions.
Okay.
Okay, everything from so just asking about infinitives, like like tenses. What tenses do they show up in? You know.
Accusative. Or tense. Wait.
Tense. That would be case. So what tenses does it show up in?
I'm going blank on what tenses.
Okay, you're talking present, aorist, perfect,
Yes. Okay.
imperfect,
Okay. Yes.
future.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you.
So you need to know which tenses. And to be completely honest, if you've memorized your paradigm,
Then I'm good.
that's going to be easy.
All right.
That's an easy question.
Yep.
Okay. So the things that I've already told you in the book that I've already alluded that you may really want to know,
Yeah.
those are going to be important for this section.
Okay.
Okay. And you are really going to want to have down how to translate certain prepositions or the key words that go with certain prepositions.
Okay. So the keywords that go.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to just study that. Make flashcards. I don't care. But that's what I did is I made flashcards. I said, okay, in purpose, what is this with this preposition? Plus, what is this preposition and plus a, actually I think I made the flashcard where I had the preposition and I put plus infinitive, and I had to say this is a result, purpose, and this is the keyword.
Okay.
That's how I made flashcards, and it worked well for me.
This is you wrote down the aspects.
No, I wrote down the preposition. So I would say, like, on one side of the card, I would put dia.
Uh-huh.
And I'd put the plus sign, and I'd say infinitive.
Uh-huh.
And then I would have to know. I would have to know that on the answer to that is that this is a reason or purpose. Articular. It's an articular infinitive that indicates reason or purpose, and the key word is because.
Okay, how do you know it's articulate? Oh, right.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, and then you're going to have a short parsing section.
Okay. So there are 5 translation functions.
There's what now?
There's 5 translation functions for
6.
infinitives.
Oh, five ways to translate the infinitive, or basically 5 different forms or ways to translate the infinitive. Okay? Yeah. I'm telling you, you're going to want to hyper-focus on number 3.
Okay, got it. Okay,
the 6 different translations of the articular infinitive. Now, trust me.
So no translation?
No translation. Great. You are going to want to know all of them.
Okay, articulate infinitive. Okay, yeah.
I'm not saying that it's going to destroy you this Wednesday if you don't know every one of them.
Right.
But I am telling you, you want to know all 5 of these.
Right.
For when you get to exam time and things like that. So, and then you've got 5 words of parsing. And really, the parsing for this chapter is so cake. It's stupid how easy it is.
I don't like it when you say that. It makes me nervous.
Yeah, but you really should not miss any parsing.
Okay.
You really shouldn't. You've got to memorize only a few endings. And to be honest, you've just got to know whether the stem is the lexical form or not. And that tells you whether it's present or aorist. And it's that easy.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a very simple quiz this week. Do you guys want to work through some of the stuff for the workbook, or do you want me to spend a few minutes? I've had some requests from people to talk a little bit about the word study.
I would like if we did some translations, maybe
okay.
Just 2.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You guys are in charge. Let's do it.
I did have a question on one of them.
Okay.
Let me get there. Yeah, so on number 3 on page 134.
Number 3 on 134. Hold on one moment.
Okay.
I hate sinus stuff.
You use a neti pot, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate sinuses badly. Okay. All right, you said number 3 is what we're looking at?
So I'm looking at the infinitive apoctano, or I'm sorry, apoctanai at the end.
Okay, yeah.
So at first, because I know it's apoctano, when I first saw it, I thought it was a participle
Why would you think that?
because of the alpha iota ending.
Oh,
Because it has a noun ending.
okay.
Could you
But
see how I got that?
I can kind of, Aaron, but what is the new doing there?
Well, because I thought it was apoctane O.
Apoctino.
Apoctino.
Yeah.
I well, first, am I right in my line of thinking? That's my first question. I understand how I understand how it's an infinitive.
No, I don't think you're right. So if it were a participle, which participle are you saying it looks like?
It's a great question.
If it were active, it would be Nutal.
Yeah, that's my point. Is that you're looking at the alpha iota making assumptions, but you're not thinking at all about connecting, things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, can you refresh my memory then?
Okay. Well, for the participle, the morpheme is
Oh, the
Nutal.
morpheme. That's right.
Yeah, the morpheme is Nutal, and you got to also keep in mind that even with the present, when you're talking about feminine, you're dealing with usa. You're not even dealing with the Nutal.
Right. I forgot about the morpheme.
Yeah. The morpheme, and keep in mind, the feminine has that sigma in it. Always. Usa.
Right.
Usa, uses, use, usan,
Right.
usa is what you're thinking.
Okay, so I guess my second question then is, how do I parse this? Is this a...
That's a good question. How would you parse it?
I'm looking at... It looks like it's an aorist.
Okay.
Passive, an aorist passive infinitive. But I guess I'm wondering, why does it have a circumflex? What happens with that new?
Okay. What is the lexical form of the verb?
I'm getting there. So it would be a new omega at the end. Lexical form.
Apoctino.
Apoctino.
Right. And so here we see a apoctani. It can't be second aorist, Aaron.
Okay. Oh, is it first aorist? Active?
I think you're exactly right about that.
Okay, so that would make sense because the nu comes in contact with the sigma.
It drops out.
And why does the sigma drop out again?
Because it's a liquid verb. And if you remember, even back in liquid futures, you remember Menno with the circumflex?
Yeah.
It did weird things because that sigma had to drop out because of the liquid.
It dropped out when it came in contact with a new lambda pi.
Right. There's
Rho.
not new lambda rho. What was the other one?
I know, there's another one.
New lambda rho.
Is it pi?
Yeah. Anyway. You sure it wasn't just those three?
Maybe it
New.
was.
Yeah.
There's one more.
You say what? There were 4, Chad?
I thought so.
I
I
thought,
can't think
remember
of
which
the other
one?
one either, though.
You guys are going to make me go back.
I'm sorry, Joseph.
It's your fault.
Yeah, it always is.
Directly to the page. Okay, mu. Mu is the other one.
Mu, okay.
Mu, nu, lambda, rho.
Okay. And so when a sigma comes into contact with them, it drops out.
Yep.
Okay. That makes sense.
There you go. And so the liquid, you got to keep in mind the liquid verbs are going to function a lot like your future verbs here because a lot of your endings have sigmas on it.
Say that. I'm sorry. Say that again.
Instead, your liquids, especially in the first aorist, are going to look a lot like your future verbs because they start with the sigmas.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's really the future aorist and the perfect middle passive are really the only places you have to worry about that. So you just have to be able to identify them.
Okay.
So did you actually want to translate that sentence, or do you have it done?
Well, I already did it, so can we move, unless, Chad, you had one you specifically want to do?
No, I got to look at this tonight. I've been quite busy and haven't had a chance to do much of this.
Yeah. Can we do number 6?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, verily I say to you that...
You can just say truly. You don't have to be on Key James.
Okay. Truly I say to you that many... Okay, so I'm going to parse this. Prophetai.
Okay.
So... I'm trying to think, what is the verb for that?
Okay. Do you know what this word is?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay. Okay. Let's work through it.
I'm trying to think, what verb is this? Propheto?
Do you know a propheto?
No, I'm making stuff up.
Yeah, you are.
I feel like that's how this language is, though. Like, if they can make stuff up, I can make stuff up.
Hey, you get them. You do that. I'll tell you, it's a lot more true in Hebrew than it is Greek.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Aaron, do you know the word prophete?
Prophete? Chad, do we know that word?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
What is that word?
Oh, prophet. Okay, so
Right, and it's not a verb.
this is see, this is not fair. Okay, prophet.
You'd have gotten there eventually. I just helped you on the path.
Okay, so
Especially, Aaron, if you think about it, that qualifying word right before it.
yeah, that's why I was like, this doesn't look like it could be infinitive.
Yeah, many is going to precede a noun, not a verbal action.
Right. Okay, so truly I say to you that many prophets and teachers,
Yes.
teachers desired to behold, to see,
Okay.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, they desired to see, and that's blepe from blepo. Does blepo mean I see?
Yes, it does.
Okay. They desire to see, and then you are seeing,
Yes, good job.
and
Hold on, say that again. Give me that whole sentence.
okay. Truly, for truly I say to you that many prophets and teachers desired to see,
Okay.
and you are seeing.
Okay, how do you deal with that ha there?
I don't.
Oh, well, that's a bad thing. It's there for a reason. I do understand that sometimes in Greek you just skip little things like that, but this one actually is important to the sentence.
Okay.
What is it?
I thought it was like a. Oh, I thought it was that Alpha knew that untranslatable,
Oh, okay.
but that's not it.
The particle? No, it's not.
Um.
So what is it?
Oh,
Identify it.
that's a freaking relative pronoun.
Those stinking chapter 14 junk. You're exactly right.
Okay.
But you might want to say what there, and then keep going.
Okay. Okay. What you are seeing, and hold on. What is that? I know that's saw. Okay, what you are seeing, and they did not see, they did not see,
Yeah, they did not see it. Yeah.
and to hear
Yes.
what
All at the same time.
you are hearing, and they did not hear.
Yeah, and they did not hear it. So truly I say to you, many prophets and teachers desired to see what you see, and they did not see it, and to hear what you hear, and they did not hear it.
So why are these verbs in the aorist?
Okay. Which ones are in the aorist?
The adon and the acouson.
Adane,
Adane.
right? Oh, Adon, you're talking about, well, I think they did not see points to this is completed.
Okay, did not see.
Right.
And
And
did
I
not
think that the reason it's there is because your main verb of the sentence is also in the aorist.
Yeah.
Okay? Many of the prophets and teachers desired.
Yeah.
So it's already the whole sentence takes its place. They desired. And then everything else is going to follow that pattern.
Yeah.
They desire to see what you see. He switches to a present there. They desired to see what you see, but they did not see it. And they desire to hear what you hear back in the present.
But they did not.
But they did not hear it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So you've got a little bit of a jumping time frame there.
that alpha there for the relative clause. So,
Yes.
okay, remind me of the relative clause pronouns has, hey, ta.
Yeah.
Is that the relative?
Has, hey, ha.
Has, hey, ha.
Yeah.
That's right. And this is functioning as has. It's functioning as an accusative.
it looks to me like it could be either nominative or accusative.
Ha, hey, ha.
Well, think about it, because this would be neuter, nominative, or accusative
Right, right.
with the alpha, right?
Okay. Sure. All right. Okay.
What you think about that?
About what?
The whole thing. You feel good about it?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
How about we try, let's do, just to get you a little extra practice, let's do number 8.
Okay. So Hina, in order that, and then this is Uretho
Mm-hmm.
from Eurisco.
Yeah. Eurisco, which is, that's where we get the term eureka, right?
Right. So it means I find,
I
and
found it. Eureka.
so that's a theta omega at the end.
Theta omega.
I don't remember what that is.
You need to remember what that is.
Okay.
And now keep in mind, it's first person.
It's first person. Is this a participle? No. Is this what we just learned?
What do you mean? Is this what we just learned?
Infinitives?
No.
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 Oh, darn. This is subjunctive. Okay.
Boom. It's subjunctive. How'd you figure that out?
I looked at my book. It's subjunctive passive.
Good call.
So it means I have it. I may be found.
There you go. In order that I might be found.
I might be found in him.
Yes.
Not having my righteousness.
Yes, and you could even put own in there and it would help. My own. Yeah.
Okay, my own righteousness. Okay, tain ek vamu. Okay, what is tain modifying or
Okay, good question. This is a really good question, Aaron. What is Tane doing?
I don't know what that's doing. Oh, tain. Oh, is this an articular infinitive?
Okay, well, where's your infinitive?
Oh, I don't.
Just because an article is there, you can't make up an infinitive.
Okay, all right. I don't have an infinitive.
You do know sometimes with a prepositional phrase, there can be an article before it to help set the entire prepositional phrase.
Oh, alrighty, great. Okay, so I may be found in him not having a righteousness of my own.
Which, remember, it can function like relative pronoun. Which is from.
Oh, the article can.
Right, the article can. Yes, especially when it's framing an entire prepositional phrase, it'll function a little bit like a relative pronoun.
Okay, which is from. Oh man, Bamu. What does that mean? From which is from the law, which is.
Good. So in order that I might be found in him, not having my own righteousness, which is from the law.
Which is from the law.
Yeah, it sounds very Pauline to me.
Yeah, but.
But rather.
But rather.
But's fine. I just like to draw out the but rather.
But rather, tain dia pistos Christus.
I think this tain is probably echoing the tain before.
So, okay, which comes from the law. which through faith Christ?
Which is through the faith of Christ or faith in Christ.
Through faith in
Yeah.
Christ.
I don't know about in. I don't know that you can do that. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think it's the idea is a faith in Christ type of a thing. So you got, in order that I might be found in him, not having my own righteousness, which is from the law, but rather that which is through faith in Christ.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, which from God righteousness,
Okay?
that which from God's righteousness.
Why is theou in the genitive?
Because it's getting its meaning by the preposition?
Good. It's not getting its meaning from the preposition, but it's taking its case from the preposition.
It's taking its case from the preposition.
Yeah, preposition demands its object in theou, so it is the
Right.
object of the preposition ek.
So, which from God righteousness.
I think you're exactly right. I think to be true to Paul, you would hyphenate it. So rather than it being that which from the law, this is that which is from God righteousness, not
Okay.
from law righteousness, but from God righteousness.
That which is from God righteousness.
Hey, get him, squirrel.
On faith. On believing.
Yeah, I think it's shooting for like on the foundation of, or on the basis of, or like on, you know. So I think it would say that that which is from God righteousness, that from God righteousness, which is on the basis of faith or on the foundation of faith,
Okay.
just grounded in faith. Yeah.
Okay.
Upon faith, really.
Upon faith.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then two genonai. Hence, look at the verbal root. But this is from gnosko,
Right.
and this is a infinitive,
Good.
and it is a Is this a oh man. Is this an aorist?
Whoa, why is it aorist?
Because I'm assuming there's a sigma in there No. There's an eta in there?
There's not an eta. I'm looking at it.
Well, I'm just saying, like...
No, tell me factually. Why are you saying this is an aorist? Don't guess.
Well, I'm saying it because I see the new alpha iota.
Okay, but I see that on the present also. Or no, I see it. Okay, are you saying it's an aorist passive?
Yeah, I was thinking that something happened with the contraction with that eta.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's right.
I think you're probably right because you see a circumflex.
Yeah, so how does that contract?
Well, the verb is nosko.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's actually ginosko.
Okay.
So you can know it's aorist. Why?
Because it's gamma nu.
Right, because the stem has gone through some mutilation. It's
Right.
using the aorist tent stem. Okay? So you can know that's aorist because the stem changed.
Yeah.
And so noni, especially when you see an omega like that, you can know that it consumed the eta.
Is that how contraction normally goes?
The omega eats everything. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Omega it's a fatty. Just eats it all.
Okay. So, all right. So, to know him that it's doing that weird thing.
Ah.
He to know him,
Yeah.
and
Now keep in mind. Well, let me ask you. How is this infinitive functioning?
how is this infinitive functioning?
I mean, you're translating it right, Aaron. I'm not trying to question you, but is it the 5 ways we saw how to translate?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. I'm not sure, Joseph.
Okay, I think number 1 is going to be your answer.
Number 1, substantive. Okay. Right. Articular infinitive. To know him and attain and righteousness. Oh no.
Mm-mm.
What is that? Dunamin? Is that from Dunamine? To know him and the power of his resurrection.
Good. So say the whole sentence.
Okay. In order that I may be found in him, not having a righteousness of my own, which is from the law, but rather through faith in Christ. Um, which from God righteous,
Yeah, if you wanted to smooth that out in English, you would say that righteousness from God.
that righteousness from God upon faith,
Right.
to know Him and the power of His resurrection.
Good. 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 Good work. You guys are getting good at this.
Okay, you got 6 minutes to talk about word study.
Oh, thanks. Okay, word study. What you're going to want to do, and what Dr. Palmer, more specifically, what Dr. Palmer is going to love to see, is that you are using
BDAG.
BDAG. Okay? BDAG is your love of life. Okay? And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure you find your word in BDAG.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to want to, the way BDAG flows, it almost does your word study for you. You've just got to flow with the study. BDAG actually starts, when it gives a word, it starts with extra biblical sources. And it tells you where you can find those words. Now, unfortunately, you're going to have to use the website Perseus, which is just a pain in the rear to learn how to use. But you can figure it out to be able to cite your sources. But Perseus is going to have these texts from like Dionysus and all these other guys that you've got to go look for to find the meaning of your word. So the word study for Palmer starts at the outer edges of the earth, of the world, which is all these extra Greek documents. You're going to go to Perseus and you're going to use Dionysus, you're going to use all these others, and then you're going to come in one step to the closer to the Bible realm, which is going to be your Philo, Josephus. You're going to get into your pseudepigrapha. Eventually, you're going to move into your Septuagint, and then eventually you're going to get to the entire New Testament, and then specifically to, if it's a Paul book, the Pauline letters, and then down to your letter, and then specifically how it's used in your section.
Right.
Okay. you're going to find that BDAG is going to actually walk you through that entire process. So when you get, especially the extra biblical stuff.
What's that website you just said?
Perseus.
How do you spell that?
Good question. Let me make sure I'm right.
Perseus.
Say that again.
So Perseus.
Yes.
.com.
It's actually Perseus.tufts.tufts.
If you just Google Perseus, though, you'll find it.
Okay.
That's how I found it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm getting into all the details.
And so it's a little bit of a pain in the rear to use, but it does have everything you're looking for. And so once you learn how to search that, find the text you need to find, that's going to help you on the outer rim, whereas BDAG tells you things like you're going to find this from Lucian or Diagnosis or all these others, which if you have a digital version of BDAG, a lot of times you can hover over those things and they'll give you the full name of the person.
How do you get a digital version?
Well, I mean, if you have like Accordance or something, or Logos or something.
Okay.
But if not, you've got to use your index
Okay.
in BDAG, which if you'll open up your fee book, by the way,
Okay.
he actually has an entire section on how to use BDAG.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it goes through in your pages at the very beginning, 3XII, and so on, walk you through, like you've got Qumran literature, papyri, you've got your writers and writings of antiquity, which you're going to spend a lot of time in, and it gives you what the abbreviations are they're using in BDAG and how to find it.
Got it.
Okay? So that's what you're going to use as you go through. And then Philo and Josephus, if you're ever at school, you can literally search the Bible works there for Philo and Josephus, and it makes it a very easy search.
Do we have both Bible Works and Logos?
At the school?
Yeah.
The school is just Bible works.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and at the school, like I said, you can search Josephus and Philo in the Greek on those computers.
Okay.
And so that's going to help you compile all the Josephus and Philo stuff. And the same thing on those computers, you can do the pseudepigrapha. You can search the pseudepigrapha and get all the verses.
What is that word you just used?
The pseudepigrapha?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Okay, I only have the Old Testament pseudepigrapha, but yeah, the pseudepigrapha, which is what I think.
Oh, it's
Yeah, it's the Old Testament pseudepigrapha.
right, it's the Old Testament written in Greek.
No, that is the Septuagint.
Right.
Yeah, so the pseudepigrapha is non-biblical texts
Okay.
that are outside, have a biblical kind of thing, but they're non-biblical texts and they're on the outside. So that's one step in from your secular Greek writers are going to be what BDAC starts with, your Diagnosis and all your others. And then it's going to bring you into pseudepigrapha, which is kind of non-biblical writers, but still religious thinking.
Religious
Okay.
thinking, got it.
And then you're going to come into your Josephus and Philo, which is more Jewish Greek thinking. Okay.
Greek thinking, okay.
And then you're going to come into your Septuagint, which is straight up Old Testament Bible. This is how Greek was used,
Right.
for the Old Testament. Then you're going to come into your New Testament, and you're going to say, all right, the New Testament. This is literally just the Scripture now that I'm dealing with.
Helpful.
Make sense?
Yeah, that's helpful.
So there's some work that gets done with it, but your organization of the text is actually going to be fairly. You're going to follow BDAG, and you're going to kind of follow those circles coming in. So you got your outside, your secular Greek writers. Your one step in from that is kind of your pseudepigrapha.
Yeah.
Religious. One step in from that is your Philo Josephus.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, maybe the other way around. Maybe Philo Josephus and then pseudepigrapha. I don't remember. He kind of lays it out for you. And then you come down to your Septuagint, and then to your whole New Testament, and then down to your specific author and his books, and specifically your books and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And he might have told you that when you do your exegesis paper, you actually want to do your word study the opposite direction. but he wants you to learn it to do this direction because it's going to teach you the breadth of the meanings of the words.
Right.
Okay? So the hardest part of the entire word study when I did it was learning how to search Perseus and learning how to search Bible Works for the information.
Yeah.
This is the hardest thing.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Just gathering all the resources and being able to decipher through it.
Yeah, even that's not that hard because you can literally go to BibleWorks on the computer and you can search it and you just scroll through and go, oh look, yeah, that's a and I wrote down like this is an example of the word being used. I did playrao, and I would go through and say this is an example of how Philo used it for this type of fulfillment. And this is the way he used it for this, and I just simply scrolled through his writings. I searched it and I had a list of it.
Right.
On the computer, and I just kind of scroll through them, and then I mark down where it came from. This is from this writing, this, that, so I could cite it. And I just said, hey, look, here we go. And the really good ones, I would go and I would open it up and get a little bit of context from Philo or Josephus and just make sure I wrote it in my paper that way.
Gotcha. So it's like just documenting how these words are being used.
Exactly. Yeah, in the range of it, and how that's narrowed in the biblical text.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's tough. It's not easy, but the toughness comes from learning how to search and learning how to gather all the information. Not so much from actually analyzing the information and writing a paper. That's actually easy.
I just need to not be afraid of it and just go and start.
Exactly. You got to concretize.
Yeah.
You got to get it. Just get something down on paper and just start doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Joseph. I gotta head out.
All right. Chad, you good, buddy?
Yeah, does he want us to, do we need to put it in an appendix, like just a table of usage, or is he just going off of our writings?
I think off of your writing. I don't think you need a table of usage. He's given you some details, though. He wants you to list every New Testament passage where the word shows up.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's what I figured. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no appendix. Not on this. On your exegesis paper, there will be.
Okay.
But, all right, guys. Well, y'all be good. If you have any questions, anybody has any questions watching this about the word study or about anything else, feel free to contact me. All right?
Bye,
Okay.
Joseph.
All right, see you.
Thanks.
All right, later.